Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest podcast about kayak bass fishing in the nation. If you're here to talk kayaks and kayak fishing, you're in the right spot. Your host, John Suits, brings you into the exciting world of Greenfishnation and all it has to offer. We will have special guests from product manufacturers as well as the end users from the ground level angler up to the big boy pros. The show starts right now, so get your paddles ready and let's get started.
Hey guys, it's John with Greenfishnation. I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight here on Beyond the Paddle. Doing something a little different tonight. I'm usually in the studio, but it was such a beautiful evening and such a beautiful day here in Texas. I thought I'd do one from the porch. So hope you guys enjoy that. As always, we can be viewed here on Beyond the Paddle. You can check us out on Facebook at Greenfishnation Kayak Tournament Trails Series and Challenges. We also are available on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfishnation. If you slide over there to YouTube, be sure and you reach out there and click that subscribe button and make that thing turn gray. Give us an old thumbs up and drop us a comment. Guys, tonight we are speaking with Philip Wallman. He is our inaugural South Carolina tournament winner. Philip, we're glad that you're here with us tonight. We're glad that you're fishing with Greenfishnation, and congratulations on winning the inaugural tournament here in South Carolina.
Thank you, John. It's good to be here. I appreciate you putting all this together, and I'm looking forward to a good first season for South Carolina.
Well, we're excited that you're fishing with us. I count that a privilege. So tell us a little bit about your Saturday. What did you do to prepare for that?
Okay, so some of you may not be aware, but South Carolina actually has two Lake Robinsons, and the one we were fishing in Saturday it's in Hartsville, South Carolina, and it's a nuclear lake, so it has a nuclear plant built on it. So it's a unique fishing experience because the fish have no clue that it's wintertime or summertime or any time really, because their water's constantly warmed by that nuclear plant, and so that's a good thing and a bad thing. There's really no way to plan for a pre-spawn or a spawn time of the year, but you can kind of find fish kind of all over the place. And I've been there. I've only been there a couple times, and I've actually done real well the couple times I've been there. I know our South Carolina director, Kayak Mike. That's kind of one of his home lakes. He fishes there a lot. But I went in there with a plan to kind of attack. Halfway down the lake, there's a little tiny island, and it's right across from the nuclear discharge, so it's fairly warm. And I went in there with the plan that I was going to go straight down to that island. It's far enough that I can probably put some distance between me and the other guys. And I was going to make a loop of that. And hopefully by the time I finished the loop of that island, I would have something figured out. It's got a sharp drop off on one side. It's got a point that kind of goes out shallow with a flat on the other side. There's a couple of docks nearby. And so I just kind of told myself that, by the time I get around the island, I should have a plan. And I got all the way around that island and didn't get a bite.
So much for well-laid plans, huh?
Well, it worked out though, because I cut over to a dock, right across from this island, and I don't want to give too many details away because I'm actually going back Saturday. Our local club has a tournament at this same lake this coming Saturday.
I see. You don't want to spill all your secrets, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to give up too many secrets, but we did have a bad cold front come through yesterday, and it's all going to be different anyway.
Yeah.
But the first dock I went to, I just picked up the old ultralight and threw a shaky head under it, and as soon as it hit the water, I had a bite, and I had a little dink fish. He didn't even get to the boat. He shook off. I threw another one in there and got a hit, and that was my first fish. And he was like just over 13 inches. He was no giant. But I determined then that, well, I'm just going to hit these docks, and I think I can get 5 fish pretty quick and just go from there. And I went into the tournament knowing that there's usually not a lot of giant fish on this lake. Usually there's a lot of small fish. And I felt like if I could come up with like a 15-inch average, I would be doing really well. And so
Yeah.
that's like 75 inches.
Right.
And that first dock, 13 and a half. I went to the next dock and I caught another 13. And I caught on quick that there was a very specific depth that if I found a dock in that range, that there was going to be a fish on it. And I caught 3 fish off of 3 docks back to back to back. I got a picture and I just put them in the live well on Tourney X because my plan was that they would get called. All of them were right at 13 inches, 12 and a half to 13 inches. So I hoped that I didn't have to keep any of these fish, but I was actively catching them, and that's always fun. On the 4th dock that I got to, as soon as that shaky head went under it, my line just took off toward the middle of the lake. And
Picked
I
it up
set the
on the
hook.
fall.
I set the hook on something, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew if it was a bass, it was a good one.
Yeah.
And I got him to the boat, and that was the one. He ended up being 23 and a half inches, which is, for that lake, that is a solid fish.
Yeah, I
There
was gonna
may
say it was a good one, wasn't it?
there might be there might be a couple in there bigger, but I hadn't never seen them. And I took a picture of that one real quick, and I just went ahead and submitted those 4 fish. And that one fish put me within a few inches of the lead. I think at that point, Kayak Mike had a limit, none of them real big. And there was a couple other guys. Everybody was catching fish, at least 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But that was like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was already feeling pretty good at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how it worked. I hit a couple more docks. I filled a limit there, and then the wind kind of picked up, and that bite just completely shut off. I could not catch another fish off a dock.
So did you go back to your original game plan after the wind picked up?
Well, once the wind picked up, I decided I was gonna. I had a couple of marks on my graph of different brush piles and stuff that I wanted to try to hit, but I also didn't want to battle the wind too bad. So I actually cut across to the what should be the warm side, the discharge side of the lake, and I fished some shallows and all. Kind of got kind of just getting out of the wind, and I didn't catch another fish for 3 or 4 hours. I think it was lunchtime or so before I started kind of picking off a call here and a call there, and just slowly picking up inches.
Yeah.
And man, I was checking the leaderboard every few minutes to see who else was catching them, because we didn't have a huge turnout, which you don't expect a huge turnout when you're just getting a trail started. But a couple of the guys that we had come out, I knew would probably do really well.
Yeah.
And so I was just, checking the leaderboard, and I'd catch a 14-inch fish and go up an inch here, and then I'd check the leaderboard, and finally we started getting on late into the day, and I knew that I should have the big fish without a problem. But I was just convinced that one of these guys that were in the middle, live scoping structure, were sandbagging, and they were gonna come in at the end and just blow up the leaderboard. And I was just waiting for it, but fortunately, it never happened. Those guys that were out in open water, they were watching fish all day long, but couldn't hardly get any of them to bite. So it worked out.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it worked out for you. And like I said, I'm glad you're fishing with us. So overall, uh, I know you and I were talking in the green room a while ago, and you said you'd been doing this kayak fishing for about 4 years. Overall, how would you rate your experience with us as an organization here at Greenfish Nation?
Uh, Overall, everything with this tournament, this tournament was, it's our first South Carolina tournament, first on this trail, but it's the first time I've fished with greenfish at all.
Yeah,
But it's been super smooth. I think it's really well managed. I think we may have gone through some growing pains setting a schedule and all when you get a new trail, but man, everything went well.
yeah,
And of course the big deal is, you get paid. All that went smooth. That's so. Anytime you have a new trail, that's everybody's question is how are you going to get paid and how's it going to happen? And everything went smooth. So, man, I'm
yeah.
a happy camper. I told you in the green room there that I have a pretty full schedule. I'm fishing a couple trails this year, but I think I'm going to be able to fish every greenfish event in South Carolina. And,
Well, that's
hopefully my luck will pan out. We'll go somewhere with it.
well, that's good. We look forward to you doing that, and I just like you got a good state rep. Mike is doing a great job. I kind of had to twist his arm a little bit at first because I knew, he'd fish with me this summer whenever we were just kind of really getting started, doing some fun tournaments and stuff like that. And, uh, he was just, he was a busy man, I understand, and then he had that little hiccup with his health and stuff back in December. And then I finally was able to, get him on board with it. I know he's going to do a great job and make everything run smooth. And he's put together a great schedule. And you guys have got a lot of great anglers out there. Somebody said, Don, you think he'll give us an autograph? See, this is what it's all about for me. Okay, it's about you guys getting out there and having a good time and the camaraderie. Even though you guys are in South Carolina and I'm here in Texas, I love the camaraderie that we have on the different pages and Facebook, and a lot of you guys have subscribed to my YouTube channel, and I get comments from you guys and stuff on there. Not just the South Carolina guys, but guys from all over the country. And my goal when I started Greenfish Nation was to to meet people that had the same likenesses that I did about just fishing in general. And then that just kind of turned into the kayak fishing. And then I thought, well, I want to try to start up a little fun trail, and we had like $10 entry fees. And then, everybody was having a great time, and we were fishing, all over the country doing not really monthlies, but what we were having was like a week long top tournament. Every inch counts, or we'd do a week long biggest five fish where you could choose 2 days out of the seven, because a lot of guys were like, well, I'm a weekday worker and he's a weekend worker. Fix it to where we can choose 2 days to fish out of those seven. So then that kind of, my phone started ringing off the wall, and emails and messages and everything. Hey, why don't you put together a big trail? And I've never backed down from a challenge. So that's how Greenfish Nation was born. And uh, like I said, I'm not really doing it for the money. If you look at the payout, every tournament, whether it's a national or a regional, can't get my words out, or if it's a state trail, 80% goes back to the anglers, 20% goes to the national. Whatever the big fish pot is, 100% of that goes to the big fish. We pay out 1 through 6, no, 1 through 5 anglers. We pay first place, 6 through 10, first and second, and then 11 and above, first, second, and third. But always 100% of the big fish pot goes to the big fish. I'm not one of those people that really wants to do first, second, and third big fish. You know what? Big fish pot is a gamble. And if you're
That's
willing to
right.
gamble for all the marbles, then you should get all the marbles. So
That's
that's
right.
my thoughts on that. But man, Philip, I look forward to seeing you on the leaderboards at every event that you can be at. And all you other guys, I love sitting there. A lot of times when I'm looking at fish, you guys are the only fish I get to look at because I might be sitting in an ambulance on the side of the road or sitting at the station or whatever because I am a paramedic for a living. That's how I put beans on my table, not this tournament series, but you guys are sometimes y'all are my outlet to what I want to be doing. So I appreciate every one of you very much. Philip, if you got anything else for us, I appreciate you sharing your experience with us.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say again, my headphones cut out. I hope you can still hear me okay.
Oh yeah, I can hear you just
I
fine.
just want to give a shout out to our local clubs. We got some great local clubs here. PD kayak anglers, low country kayak anglers, Santee monster kayak anglers. Uh, some great local trails. So if you're in South Carolina, you don't have any excuse. You got a way to fish pretty much every weekend. So
Yeah.
and other than that, I just thank you to you and to Kayak Mike for putting together the Carolina Trail. Looking forward to fishing all the events and yeah, I think that's it, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Well,
all you
man,
do. It
uh,
ain't easy, it ain't easy putting a trail together.
you
People are
know,
going to complain. It's tough. So
it's been a learning experience for me for sure. I've had a lot of I've had a lot of phone calls and emails and text messages, and some of them not been so good. But I'm not out here to take anglers from anybody. I'm out here to provide an opportunity for everybody to fish. And you mentioned all those great clubs there in South Carolina. You guys that are fishing with us, be sure and invite your other club members to us, and don't forget we have monthly trails as well, where it's the challenge series. So if you're fishing one of those other clubs tournaments, and you want to throw those fish in on the monthly challenge, we're giving out points for those as well, and you can earn your way to the national, or you could join the 100-inch club if you have a really good day. So don't forget about that. But
that's right.
yeah, well, Philip, I look forward to seeing you. I thank each and every one of you that joined on here tonight, and listen to what Philip had to say. I know some of you probably looking for little tips for that next tournament. he did, he gave you a couple of clues, but not many. But anyway, best of luck to you, Philip, and best of luck to everyone else. And
Thank you.
I really enjoy doing this for you guys. I count it a pleasure to be able to do this, to be blessed enough that I don't have to take money from you guys to put food on my table. I can do this, and eventually that 20% that goes to the national, uh, that will be all back to the angler. My end goal with this at the end of the year, when we put out payments in October, is for my bank account at my bank that says Greenfishnation on it to have a zero balance, and start over next year with a zero balance and end with a zero balance. So, well, Philip, I am going to get off of here and let you go. Guys, tonight at 7:30 here on Beyond the Paddle, we have a man that is going to be joining us. His name is LT Jigs. His name is Lance Tyree, but he likes to go by LT. So we're going to call him LT. Y'all tune in. It'll be 8:30 y'all's time out there in South Carolina. But we would love to have you and talk about some jigs. And also on Thursday night, I've got a gentleman out in California. If you guys have been watching some of the little videos I've been putting up, he is a custom bait painter, and he is actually going to give away a very nice shad imitator glide bait on the podcast. So y'all tune in for that. Philip, God bless you. We'll see you on the leaderboards, and I'm out of here, guys.
Thank you, John, for tuning in.
Thank you again for joining our podcast. We appreciate your continued support. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfishnation. Check us out on Facebook at the group Greenfishnation Kayak Tournament Series, Trails and Challenges. We can also be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the handle Greenfishnation. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm John, and I want to wish you tight lines, guys.